ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of our two-day Future Summit, may I take this opportunity to invite Air Chief Marshal Sohail Aman Sahab for the closing address that will formally bring us to the close of the 5th edition and inshallah pave way for the years to come. Sohail Sahab.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, and this being the last address and only me between you and the lunch, I will try and make it within 10 minutes. I'm very thankful to Dr. Shahid Asfar for making my job easier by leaving the message of hope and positivity. And I think by the time we leave this hall today, I believe we'll all leave with this thought in our mind. I'm also reminded of Churchill. He wrote a letter to his journal, and he said that I'm writing you a 2-page letter. I wish I had more time. I would have written you half-a-page letter. And actually, that's the dilemma that I'm into, that I'll try, and whatever has happened since yesterday morning, when we started with the leadership, and we began through technology, to agriculture, to climate change, to whatever, and I'm not going to pick up on each one of them and reiterate the whole thing, but I'll pick up the key points. And I think on the leadership, I was so inspired and happy to see that it all boiled down to the human resource. It all boiled down to how to take care of your people. It was about compassion. It was about empathy. And people truly understood that in the testing times, especially with the pandemic coming up, you need to be very considerate to your people. Then it was not only the people that they were really considerate about, they were looking at the systems, they were looking at innovation, and they're looking at how to empower their people. And I think the leadership sessions went absolutely stunning. While I may not be able to comment a lot on it, but I think the audience and the way we met on the tea and the lunch, you were all inspired, you were all happy about the whole thing. And one particular thing which came up here during the discussions was not on the stage, but was about the leadership's ability to stand behind the people in the testing times and take up all the pressures themselves. And somebody did say a very beautiful thing, and that was about leadership is like a tea bag. The leadership is like a tea bag, and you can only know its quality when put in the hot waters. It's so much defines. And the corporate leadership that I've really interacted since yesterday, the way you spoke about the technology, you have all the ability, and I leave very, very positively from this hall. About technology, I am also reminded of a very small but very telling proverb, and that is, if you think education is expensive, try it otherwise. You're right there. And what I leave with today is that if you think that the technology is expensive, try otherwise. The way the transformation of IT and the digital economy, everything has come up. I've had one of the corporate leaders here who said, I go with the belief from here that it is an inescapable need. It ought to be done, and there are no two ways about it. We had the banking sector come in here, and I think the way for us to see, yes, the private banking would concentrate on the customer centricity and bringing the systems. But I think the point which moved here was the regulators' involvement into making sure that the accelerated process is accelerated further. So I think this is all very, very reassuring. All of this is very reassuring. Then we came up about the agriculture. I think on the agriculture also, the theme point remained about the technology. And I'm very glad to share with you that one of the previous Board of Investment Chairman, Naeem, who heads one of the organizations, they've started to bring out the technology into agriculture, where the small farmers are informed on a very routine basis about the weather, about the crops, about the fertilizer, everything. This information comes down to them absolutely free. Now, what a wonderful way of bringing the technology into everything. Climate change, Dr. Shamshad brought it to us. We're not the ones who contributed to the disaster which has happened to the climate. It was the World War II, it was the industrialization, which all brought it up there. But then look at the Kyoto Protocol and the way the Chinese addressed it. And they said, fine, we understand there's a problem at hand. We didn't do it, you did it. you fund the bill, and you need to. And I think that's where Ayla came up with a very thought-provoking idea. We need to regulate and institutionalize. We're the 5th country which is endangered by this. We'll have to face it. It's there. It's writing on the wall. Therefore, our government and our agencies will have to get into a place where they will start asking about remedies to the challenges which will come about because of the climate change. And I think that's absolutely a very precise point which came out about the future. And of course, Dr. Sadiq was absolutely great when he talked about the Star Trek. And I think that's where, whatever you cannot imagine, and yesterday I did make a small comment that in 2007, what the world's highest defense learning body thought, nothing of that kind happened in the next 10 years. That's what the future is. That's how unpredictable it is. But the journey that we started 5 years ago, and today what I see is that as long as you're marching in the right direction, that's okay. And why shouldn't we be proud of so many things? And that's my last take on this. Ask one particular country who fought, and the nation who fought 20 years of terrorism, 110 billion loss of money, which is huge. I mean, a country like us, how could we take it? Over 60,000 people lost their lives, 6,000 soldiers, and over 20,000 lost their limbs. What a united way of fighting this. Look at those countries who were subject to terrorism in the Middle East, what has happened to them and where have they gone? I've been to the Middle East a few days back, and there are countries who lost their sovereignty, their fuel goes unmetered out, and their people live in absolute poverty. Even on the education, the single national curriculum, there is a big achievement. You brought in the curriculum, and of course, the syllabi are accordingly devised. You brought in the value system into the whole thing. You brought the technical education. The point is implementation of what we've already planned. We're the 5th nuclear state with 220 million people, with such dynamism into the corporate sector, and the public sector is committed to go ahead and pave the way. What is important is that we must embrace positivity. We must put our share into the whole thing so that a bright future awaits us. Media is something which really needs to harness this positivity and then to bring it out there, because जो नेगेटिविटी की न्यूज़ है उसको फैलाना और उससे एक्साइटमेंट क्रिएट करना आसान है. पॉजिटिविटी, एंड आई थिंक सो मेनी पॉजिटिव थिंग्स दैट वी सॉ इन द लास्ट 2 days, and we were apprised that it's a lovely nation, and we were to be born again. Hypothetically, we would love to be Pakistanis, inshallah. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
This formally brings us to the end of the 2-day Future Summit. But before we close, we'd like to present our memento, which is the book that we've been presenting to all our dignitaries and all our delegates. Sohail Aman, Chief Executive Strategic Engagements, Nutshell Group. I'd request you to please present these mementos to our guests. Dr. Shahid Mahmood, please, Chairman, Interactive Group of Companies. Thank you very much, sir, for gracing us with your presence. Mohammad Asfar Ehsan Saab, Chairman, Board of Investment and Minister of State. Thank you very much. And last but definitely not the least, our brilliant summit moderator who brought in a lot of excitement, a lot of insight, Sidra Iqbal. Thank you, Sidra. Thank you very much. So now the only thing standing between all of you and lunch is me. So thank you very much, everybody. We're so heartened to see a completely packed hall even at the end of the second day of the summit. So enjoy your lunch. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next year.